This video contains subject matter that may be offensive and disturbing to some people. If you are the type to require a warning throughout a video or show, let this message serve as your warning. This channel discusses the harsh reality of true crime. If this warning is not sufficient for you, consider a different genre and unsubscribe from my channel immediately. Well, there's no extra audio this time because I was just going to go straight to the show. But today we have Drew Collins on, and let me just bring him up on the screen right now. Here he is. Here's Drew Collins, the father of Elizabeth Collins, who was 8 years old, and I think, what are you, an uncle of Lyric? Something like that?
Yeah.
Uncle.
Elizabeth's father and Lyric's uncle.
Mm-hmm. The father of Elizabeth, who was 8 years old, and Lyric Cook-Morrisey, who was 10 at the time, and they're cousins. I guess both their moms are sisters. Is that correct?
Yes.
And this is a case that happened back in 2012, and it's an absolute nightmare where both girls were just having fun on their bikes, and then they disappear. Their bikes are found by a lake, and nobody knew where the hell they were. And then their bodies, unfortunately, were found, I think about 6 months later. And but first thing I want to say is, I'm sorry for your loss, and it's just an absolute nightmare. Now you just want to get some justice for whatever the hell happened, right?
Yep. Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah, so Drew's going to come on, and he's going to go through everything that he knows about the timeline, and so we can dial it in a little bit better. I mean, I have a lot of the places correct, but there's probably some that aren't. And like we were just talking earlier, and I was like, "Whoa, they did that!" I mean, I didn't realize they double backed and went down the whole way of a path and everything. And so we're just going to get started. Maybe you can start off by telling us a little bit about Elizabeth and whatever you know about Lyric.
Elizabeth was 8 at the time. Lyric was 10. They spent a lot of time together. They were more like sisters than cousins. We had Lyric living with us for a while, and she lived also with Heather's and Misty's mom as well. So they just spent a lot of time together with our kids, and very close. And they were both just really sweet girls. Elizabeth was really bubbly and happy, and a very good sister. And Lyric was just a really nice kid too. They were both just really at the wrong place at the wrong time.
Yeah, so this was on July 13th, 2012, right?
Yeah.
And
they were found December 5th.
And they were found December 5th, yeah, so about more like 5 months later-ish, and not 6.
A little short of 5.
Yeah. All right, so I guess we could just start off, maybe how the day started. Do you remember any of that part of it? Well,
for me, it started really normal. I do trees, so I got up and went to work, and it had stormed the night before, so we did a few cleanup job, and I called it an early day. I think around 11 or so. Sent my guys home for the week, and it was a Friday the 13th. And I came home. I stopped. I was having a car painted, so I stopped at Diamond's Auto Body in Evansdale here on my way home. They had called me that morning and said my car was done and I could come look at it. So I was hanging out in there. I hung out in there for an hour or so, and then I came home and I asked where Elizabeth was, and Heather's mom told me that her and Lyric went for a bike ride. So I was a little bit upset because I didn't just let Elizabeth go for bike rides by herself. Lyric, like I said, lived more with Wilma, Heather's mom, and she was older, so she got to do more of that stuff than Elizabeth did. So, I was a little mad that they were gone, but I figured they would be home soon, and then they didn't come home for a while. Then Heather ended up coming home, and Heather was asking. I said, "Oh, they went for a bike ride," and she started getting real nervous, and I figured they had just maybe stopped at a friend's, one of Elizabeth's friends, and time got away from them or something. So we called the police, maybe around 1 o'clock, 12:30. I can't remember the times really, but the police came over, searched the house. They just walked through the house because, every once in a while a kid goes missing. They'll find the kid in the house sleeping or hiding or something. So they went through the house, made sure the kids weren't in the house, and then they started looking, and then they kind of started, bringing in other people like fire department guys, city of Evansdale guys, different people from the city. Started looking for them. Around 4 o'clock, I got a phone call from the police, and they said they had found some bikes down by the lake, and they came and picked me up and brought me down there. I identified the bikes. They were just laying on the path. And as we were kind of discussing it, there was, 4 or 5 of us, a couple firemen actually found the bike. So the firemen were there and a couple police officers. And we were just talking about what we thought was going on because the lake is right there. I didn't think the girls were in the lake. And as we were sitting there talking, one of the firemen looked over the fence and found a purse. So he went over, got the purse, and we found Elizabeth's phone in it. And
can I ask you something? When you say, was it found over, like there's a path and then there's a fence on the left? So let me go down. Let me go to the other screen here really quick. We'll go back to the timeline in a minute, but since you're already bringing this up, like let's say I'm down on the path right here, and there's a fence right here.
Turn around.
Yeah.
And go back the way.
Like towards the lake, or the other direction.
Yep, and that.
Okay.
It was on the lake side. It wasn't on the because if on the right side there you got the lake, and then on the other side is Highway 20.
Mm-hmm.
So it was over the fence on the lake side, a little further down than where you're at.
Okay.
There's kind of an open fence up here if you keep going.
Yeah.
And
I can
you
probably
see like a.
Yeah, I can probably go further later. So, but it's a little odd though that there's a fence and it was found on the other side of the fence, right? Because they would have been on.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that fence was there at the time, right? This fence, I mean, obviously, because he said it's over the fence. But if they were on this path, somebody would have had to like intentionally throw the items over, right?
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. That's we're kind of like that's kind of when things got. Well, once I seen that it was their bikes, I was pretty scared. And then when we found the purse over there, I looked over there. It didn't look like anyone was walking back there because there was like brush. It was real thick with brush, and nothing had been stomped down or nothing. So it had obviously been tossed over the fence.
Yeah.
So we kind of were getting worried then, and I went from there.
Yeah. So how about let's just go back in time. So from now over the early on and through the years you've learned where they were basically before they disappeared, right? So. I mean, I've seen video.
We've got a couple witnesses that kind of saw him here, and then like where you're at right now is my street, Brovan Boulevard. They went down towards the river.
Okay, this direction, Cedar River.
Yep, and then there's a truck repair place down there, up on the top of that Brovan Street right there. Yep,
right there.
And in there, and I was actually talking to the lady that's in there as my daughter was going by, and she goes, "Oh, there goes one of your babies."
Oh, wow, that's crazy. Really? Yeah.
Because I take my trucks for work, there to get repairs done on, and she had called me, or I had called her that day.
So do you think that, because when we were talking earlier, this is right where the surveillance camera was, on this building right here,
Yep.
facing this direction, and you see them riding by. So was it that pass that you think when the person in the shop said, hey, or was it when they came back the other direction? Because you mentioned they drove back.
I do not.
Yeah, I mean,
But apparently towards the river, and then they were in the River Forest truck parking lot, and then they at some point turned the other direction and headed towards a grocery store area where there's right behind the grocery store there's a bike trail that takes you down to Meyers Lake.
mm-hmm. Yeah. So about 12:23 is when. Oh, I'm not sure how that's on the screen there. Wow, how's that showing up on there? Let me get rid of that thing. Hold on. Oh, there it is. Yeah. Sorry about that. I thought I turned that one off. All right, so you've got this right here. This at 12:23, the bikes are going by. Apparently, that's when it was seen on surveillance right here. Then, let's see. And then you've heard that they went this way, and then they came back again, right?
Yeah, and then headed towards like where the next sighting was somebody was at the grocery store. Supposedly the girls went up and asked him how to get on the bike trail from there, and he pointed.
Okay, this grocery store right here, this thing?
Yeah.
Okay, so do you think they would have gone, how do you think they would have got there? Cut across this parking lot right here?
Yeah, probably, and then down Evans Road, that road, then down that road there, and then probably into the parking lot. And then behind that grocery store there is the bike trail.
Yeah, and then, if I can get this the hell out of my way here, just a second. Yeah, from there, yeah, you just go, would you think they would have just kind of went like this, walked their bikes through there? Is that something that's doable? Or is there a fence or something there?
No fence.
Maybe they went like this or something. I don't know.
Well, they could have gone to the edge of the parking lot and rode their bikes across the grass, or they could have walked them across to the bike trail.
Mm-hmm.
But once you're on the bike trail, that takes you straight to the park.
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting because I didn't actually know that they took this trail. I wasn't really ever sure exactly the route, but this seems most likely now. So they came down.
They did. I believe the guy at Fairway, and I can't remember his name offhand, but he works at Fairway. He doesn't work there anymore, but he said the girls stopped, asked him how to get to the bike trail from there, and he pointed to the bike trail.
So do you think right here, because it looks like it sort of ends right here on Gilbert, is that true, or does it keep going somewhere? It looks like it goes through here. Yeah, there you go. Yeah,
it's covered up.
Mm-hmm. So there he goes. It goes down here, and then it meets up with that bigger trail like that. Okay.
Yep.
Okay. Let me just get this in here.
Oh,
all right,
highlight it.
What's that?
I said you can highlight it.
Oh yeah, I can make it thicker. So there you go. Right there. It looks like some kind of a path like that. That actually makes sense.
But you could have gone on that street too and gone around the other way to the island. And once they get onto Gilbert, they could have taken that Gilbert down to the main opening of the park.
Mm-hmm. See, that's what I actually think it's like, I don't know if it's likely, but they could have gone this direction because I thought they were sighted right around in this area.
An older gentleman saw him right there. Yes.
Okay. So then then it's more likely then, let's see.
Came around the opposite way to get down to where you're pointing there. Yeah.
Yeah, it probably was like this, and then do you think it kept going around to the left, around like this, or do they cut down one of these streets?
It'll take you right into if they go down Gilbert, there's an opening to the Meyers Park, or it's Angels Park now.
Is that right here? This one?
I think so. That looks like it. Yeah.
Okay, and you can park down there if you want.
You can park in there, and you can go around the other way of the island, or the lake, and then meet up with Arbutus.
Oh, I see. So it looks like there's another path right here That it's the
Yep.
same path, and then they could have gone around like this, right? Like,
And possibly what I'm thinking is maybe there was a ruse at the park. Maybe somebody was like, "Hey, I can't find my dog. He ran that way. If you guys go around that way, I'll go around this way, and we'll catch him." And that's kind of my theory on it, is that somebody got him to go around that back way, and when they were coming down where you've got it red right now, there's nowhere for them to go. There's a decline down, so they're coming down a hill there. It's a real slight hill, and then if you come in between two fences, one fence is on the lake side, one fence is on Highway 20 side. There's really nowhere for them to go once they're in there. So if the perpetrator caught him in that area, leave their bikes there, toss the purse over, and just walked them the rest of the way out the other way.
But I think just before not before we came, at the beginning of the show, that ruse makes sense, but then the phones being over the fence sort of make it weirder, the ruse, because
I think got him to go around there, and once he got him to there, that's where he gained control of him, was where they found the purse and the bikes. I think that's where he took control. And grabbed him and then walked him the rest of the way to his vehicle out by Arbutus.
So let's get this spot. Is this where, that's where it came from? So where was the phone?
Turn around the other way.
Uh-huh.
That's where they came from.
Yeah, they came from that way, but where was the phone?
The phone was to the left.
Okay, but how much further do I go? Let's get the spot.
Well, turn around. Go left a little bit. It's at the opening of the fence there. So I'm going to say maybe 3 or 4 links down.
So would this be maybe 1, 2, 3?
There's one. I'd say 3 links down, maybe.
Okay, so this would be 1, 2, and that one, kind of by that whatever that thing is right there.
I think it was past that. No, it's past that.
Oh, it is.
It's past. There's that controls the depth of the water.
I see.
If it goes down the drain, so it's a little bit past that, just to the left now.
Okay, so how about now? Looking at it, does this seem about right? Right here.
Absolutely, right in there.
Okay,
right there, probably.
Right.
But it was higher. There was higher weeds and stuff in there at the time.
That's pretty good observation by the officer or the fireman to actually see that.
Yeah.
And that's where the purse is and bike. So man, that's weird. Now it looks. This from above, it doesn't look. It looks way more dense. I don't know if that's an error on Google Earth or what's going on there, but let's see.
I think if you're down there with the highway going, you can see how far the houses and stuff are away. There's nobody. If you were screaming out there, no one would hear you. I've tried it. I've went down there with somebody and went about 60 feet, and you yelling, you can hardly hear them.
Okay. I think that's the unit that you were saying that raises and lowers. I don't know. Can you see that? Whatever that is in the water there? Is that what? So it's probably about right here then. Purses and bike. Bike and purses. See, so it seems like that would be the spot. Maybe the vehicle. Well, we haven't gotten to the vehicle yet, but there's apparently a white van or SUV actually that was spotted. All right, so they find the purse and bike right here, and then what goes on after that? What do you guys do?
Oh, well, it kind of heated up after that. Then we're calling. I think the sheriffs are getting involved. We're calling Waterloo PD. It starts heating up because everyone is pretty concerned at this point. Like, this doesn't add up. This ain't right. And we had some people. They must be in the lake. If you look at that lake, there's no way 2 little girls are getting in that green lake. They would have taken off their shoes, because if they would have come home with wet shoes, they would have been in trouble. There's no way. It's green algae filled water. No little girl would get in that water. I didn't think they were in the water. I thought, okay, they need to check the water But I was worried at that point they were taken and something was bad going on.
Yeah.
But at that point, they started, it started, clicking up. People started getting serious about it. And I don't know. It's kind of
They just
went
disappeared.
there.
And then later on, not too long after, it seems like witnesses came forward saying that they remember seeing a SUV. So maybe you can talk about that.
There's been, I've heard there was a young man that lived across the street. He was looked out his window and he saw a 4-door car. But we don't know if that car had anything to do with it. We had 3 people talk about from that area seeing older model, either truck with a camper or suburban type vehicle, white. So we don't know if it was a pickup truck with a camper or an SUV, or if that car had anything to do with it. But those were the reports that we got of vehicles kind of out of place that shouldn't have been around. Like, that's a pretty, not that well of a traveled street, Arbutus. It's in the middle of nowhere. So people living there are going to notice cars kind of out of place.
Okay, we were talking earlier, and there was a mention maybe there was a vehicle on this trail here, and you've even said you've been able to drive on it, so it's something that maybe you're not supposed to, though, right?
I'm not supposed to, but I did it more as
experiment, kind of.
Experiment to see if anyone would call in or to see if it would, and nothing. Nobody even noticed. So, but I don't think the perpetrator drove his bike back into that part of the trail around the lake. I think it was parked. If it was that vehicle, they parked, pulled up there at the end of the bike trail where it's kind of covered by trees, right in there.
Yeah, right there.
Right in there. If you put your car in there or your truck in there, probably nobody would see it. The people on the highway can't see it because it's all covered and it's way lower. Nobody's going to be driving down Arbutus. If somebody on Arbutus saw it, they would just assume that it was somebody fishing. So it wouldn't have been a big deal to anybody.
So like somebody up here might have seen it, and maybe a couple cars that drove by or something, or even walkers.
They wouldn't have thought anything about it.
But they might have seen it, and well, there was this car. And then after people sort of figured out where the crime scene was, or where their bike was actually, they probably were like, wait, I saw a van at the other end of that. So this is basically, the guy could have parked there, walked down here, and came across the Lyric and Elizabeth almost right where the bike was found and said, hey, can you guys help me with something? But then it seems like to throw it over the fence is a little extra. In that point, something...
That's where they gained control over them, made them leave their bikes there, grabbed the purse out of whoever purse and pitched it over, and then took them from there.
It almost feels like there'd be 2 people, though, because in this case, it's different than Delphi, unless there's a gun used again or whatever. But I mean, that's such a absolutely risky thing to do with
your time of it. They have a thing called time of exposure for these things. The person wants to make that at least amount of time as possible where they can be caught. But really, back here, no one sees you. No one can see what's going on.
Yeah, but wouldn't it be risky to have done something where it's violent enough where you're throwing purses over fences, and then make it down this path here without... it's such a risky thing that some other person around 1 o'clock in the afternoon isn't going to be walking on the trail. You know what I mean?
Yeah, they obviously had to take a little bit of a risk. Really, it's if you could see it. I've had other people that have come from out of town, and I've showed them, and they're like, "Oh my God, I didn't realize it till I put my eyes on it. What it's like. It's like what you would put cattle in to move them down to one direction.
Yeah, you can see it.
Nowhere else.
Yeah,
it's just 2 little girls. If someone, it could be 2 people. the chances are there's more than one person involved. But I mean, we do have those rare cases that it's one person.
Yeah, like the Delphi one was a little easier for one person because you have a gun and you can just force people down the hill and walk in the middle of nowhere. But this is a park. I mean, hell, even in this shot right here, there's somebody walking around, and the person wearing the hat, the camera is walking around. And this is something that happens around noon, right? So what's the timing on? Ooh, excuse me. Let me go back.
No, well, I don't know what the timing is going to be there.
Well, it's like 12:30 to 1 is when they were seen. 12:30 to 1 is when this guy saw them on Gilbert Drive.
Okay.
So 12:30 to 1. So you're looking at probably before 1:30, wouldn't you think? I mean,
could be.
I mean, it could be 4. I mean, when was the time when people showed up looking for him?
Oh, they started looking for him maybe 1 o'clock or so.
Like right around the same time?
Yeah, I mean, I came home from work, and then Heather came. I'm not sure exactly what time she came home, and she's the one. I wasn't really worried as much. She came home and she called the police. I'm not sure what time.
Mm-hmm. So probably more. I bet you it's later. You're probably just like you're over at that car shop. You're off work, and then you go home, and then you're like, hey, where are they? And then maybe it's like 2 o'clock or 2:30 or something. Because I mean, this person saw them at 12:30 to 1.
30. I don't know. That seems too late for me.
You don't think so? Okay.
I mean, I don't know though. I mean,
and maybe this was 12:30 here. Like it says 12:30 to 1. We don't know. So if that's 12:30, maybe 12:45, they're over here, and you were just kind of like, well, where the hell are they? Even if it was 1 o'clock or 1:30, because they're little kids and they should be home, right?
Yeah. I just thought maybe they stopped at one of Elizabeth's friends. They lost track of time, something like that. Until we, obviously until we found the bikes and the purse, then things got serious.
Yeah. So let's see. So what happens? They go around, they go over there, and then some, obviously they were taken. They were abducted. There's no doubt about it. Their bikes are there. They were abducted. And then what goes on after that for months? I mean, what's going on? You're putting together search parties and, look, I mean, there's not really, all you can do is look at the lake here. I mean, there isn't really, where else do you look at that?
Obviously, one of the first things they did was drain the lake, and they had people out right away. I think Saturday and Sunday they were out there in the lake, and a lot of people were like, they're wasting their time with the lake, but it was something that had to be crossed off the list. So while they were doing that, we had everybody from the FBI to Iowa State Police to state troopers to Waterloo Police, sheriffs, DOT, park rangers, everyone. It was a well put together search. We had people going out in buses and doing searches, and it was just outside of our range. It was just inside another county, and about 20 miles or so, but 20 minutes away, where they were found.
Actually, it took me forever, but I found the location on a map. But I had to look at different angles of rivers and everything, and finally figured it out. But I remember them saying they had a meeting with all the hunters and said, "Hey, if you got keep your eye out." And I think that's exactly how they were discovered.
It was, and they were discovered the last day of hunting season. And December 6th or 7th, it started snowing. So if they wouldn't have been found, we wouldn't have found. They wouldn't have been found when they were found, we wouldn't have found them till God knows when.
Yeah, people are keep rumbling because people just get so Delphi centric. I just use the comparison because it's like a similar abduction. They were both sets were abducted, but they haven't found any links or anything like that, right?
No.
Yeah, I didn't think so.
We went 5 months without knowing anything. No leads. Nothing good came. No good leads came in. I mean, they were investigating like different people in the area that were they were concerned that might have been them, but just nothing.
Yeah.
So
So I think it's way up here north. I think I have the Well, it's not way really far. Let me see the distance here. It's about miles wise as a crow flies, like 15 miles ish. Like.
I think
What's that?
it's around 22 or 24.
Yeah, probably driving. Yeah, I'm just doing as a crow flies. I mean, whenever you drive, you have to do kind of crazy little turns, and by the time you get there. Yeah, so it's right here. You drive down this dirt road, and then there's a parking lot that's covered with snow in that picture. But I think if I went to a later one, you can kind of see it. And, yeah, I mean, we'll just leave it here because this is probably what it looked like. It was snowy and probably cold out or whatever. But right there is where the parking lot is, and then they were found sort of right around this corner. And I always thought it was weird looking at this, seeing these footprints of people. That's how clear the satellite image is, unless those are deer footprints. I don't know, but you can see footprints here. And that's an image from 2015. This one. So they were just found right there, and I mean it's crazy. I mean somebody drove them out here. You haven't heard? They haven't even explained to you how they died, or were they put there after death? Have you been told that at least?
Nope. Really, I don't know anything now that I don't know anything now that I knew the first day. That's been nothing. No. Okay, Drew, we're looking at this guy or anything. It's just been a big fat nothing.
Mm-hmm.
And, I mean, there's rumors and there's all sorts of theories, obviously. But nothing, no concrete evidence I've heard.
But you guys have, I don't know if there's a way, but you guys have theories on individuals, but maybe you could, without saying a name of somebody, describe what makes somebody an interesting person to you.
Well, there's lots of interesting people. There's just people in town, and you hear people saying different things that they think, I think it's this guy and he was doing this that day. He's been weird ever since. I mean, that's the kind of stuff that we get, where the police are getting the real tips. And we've had some people in the last 3 years. There's been a lot of talk around a group of people.
Like a ring again?
Something like that, like a group of people here in Evansdale. But obviously, I don't want to say names because if it's them, I don't want to ruin anybody's lives.
Yeah, I don't want you to say any names, but maybe you could say what kind of like a ring it is. Can you say that?
Well, the one I'm talking about right now is a group of guys that are into meth and into bad stuff. And they look pretty interesting, but like I said, I don't know the facts. So having the facts.
Do the police, are they interested too, like the police? Or do they communicate?
I know that these people have been interviewed.
And so do you think oh, sorry, I don't mean, it's hard to, we have a little delay. Go ahead, say what you're going to say.
Well, there was supposedly a recording of a couple guys talking about it. I haven't heard the recording, but there's supposedly a recording out there of a couple guys talking about the murder, and in a way that they shouldn't know certain things or shouldn't be talking about. Do
you think that there's so the motive in that scenario isn't related to any sort of sexual motive, right? In the motive of the group, so it's more of a. Do you think it's like payback for something, or?
There's always been that been tossed around a lot. of the drugs.
Mm-hmm.
You know, back, Dan was on trial during that time, and there's a whole lot of rumors going around about Lyric's parents with that, but I don't know. And
Mm-hmm.
like I said, I don't want to say anything bad about anybody because
Yeah.
they're
Well,
involved.
but it's interesting because that's a similar theme that showed up in, again, the Libby and Abby case where the dad was arrested for drugs or something, like he'd done drugs and people said, oh, it's payback for that. Well, it has nothing to do with that. So it's hard to ever really know.
Well, and I just think for Dan and Misty, it was hard. It's hard as it is, but I can't imagine, if that doesn't have anything to do with it. I mean, that's hard. It's probably hard. I mean, everyone's got a past.
Yeah, exactly. Do you still talk to them at all, or?
Occasionally. I mean, this has really exploded. Blown this family up. Heather and sister don't talk. Me and Heather really don't talk. I don't really talk to Dan. I don't talk to Heather's mom. It's like a bomb went off.
Do you have other children too? Okay. So Heather was your wife, but you guys aren't still together, right?
Say that again?
Is Heather your wife?
She was.
Well, was your wife? Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So you're not together or divorced, probably. I mean, how did that come about? Was it the case itself that caused that?
Yeah. I mean, I went crazy in one direction and she went crazy in another.
Yeah.
It was I dealt with it much differently than she did, and I dealt with it differently than Dan and Misty. I mean, and everyone takes it differently, Everyone handles that kind of thing differently, and I never thought my marriage wouldn't be able to handle it. I thought we had a very good marriage.
What are the things that happened? I mean, it's sort of interesting because it's so common, so you shouldn't feel like, wow, we should have been able to. What happened to you is very common. I'd say it's over 50%. I mean, just based on the cases that I've covered.
90%.
Yeah, okay, I was going to say, I mean, it seems like almost every time you do a case, it leads to problems. But what is it that happens that makes that? Like, what is causing, like, you not to be on the same team anymore, or whatever it is that you don't like seeing each other? What is it? Because nobody's blaming each other, right? It's just somebody went on a bike ride,
No. Well, for us, I really, I guess I isolated myself, and I probably still do. But she didn't isolate. She wanted to go out. She was more like, she still wanted to do things and stuff, and I just didn't want to be around anybody. I didn't want to go have like our friends. Like after the few years after that happened, our friends would try to get us to do things, and not that I didn't want to be with my friends. I just didn't want to do anything. I didn't want to have fun.
I thought, what's weird is, I only have one sample in my life, but I had a brother that passed away. I think I'm exactly how you are. It's just, how can I even think of anything fun? You're just so miserable. But some people are able to sort of put stuff out of their minds and go have fun for a little bit, and then later they can feel bad again. I think I'm just like how you are. The way you explain that is exactly how I felt.
I respect them deeply, and it wasn't hard on them. It was just I didn't want to. I would go to work and I would come home, and I'm okay with just being at home. And we grew apart.
Yeah, but before that, you would go do stuff, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah, so
it just tears up a great big hole in your heart, and you don't want to. You don't want to
yeah.
do shit.
So in your situation, you were feeling the pain. You probably now can go do stuff and things like that, right? Because it's been like probably not as much as you did before, but you can, right?
I still isolate.
Yeah, isolate. And then
you go out, I see some of the people that they're talking about, like people that I've heard rumors about. You see them in town. I live in a small town, like, so you see these people out, and it's hard. Like,
yeah. Well, I think like you dealt with it one way, and she did it where sort of masking the pain by, trying to do stuff and hanging out and having people, it's like something that take your mind off of it, right?
Yeah.
So it's just totally two different ways of coping with something. Neither one is wrong. It's just,
well, then you're just being she was doing one way and I'm going another way.
Yeah.
And before you know it, you're living two different lives.
That's not, I could just tell that something that really bugs you that went that way. Just watching, Sounds like you still care, even like care about her, but it's like it just went a different direction, and it's hard to get out of it.
Yeah.
So, how are the other the cooks? Did they stay together pretty much, or?
No, they were divorced at the time.
No, they were okay. That's
yeah,
I remember that.
I think everybody's just struggling. Misty's struggling. Dan is struggling. I really don't know if Dan is, but I'm assuming he's struggling himself. I just think, like I said, we don't talk no more because.
Yeah. Why do you think that the sisters don't talk?
Oh, God.
It's a whole nother show. Is that what you're saying?
That's a show I don't want to be on. Those two have always kind of had a up and down relationship. Right now they're down, so maybe someday they'll be able to talk and work some of those things out. But at this point, I don't think they're really talking anymore. And I really have a hard time talking to Heather too. It's just a lot of things happen, and I'm still upset.
Yeah, I totally get it. So these killers ruin way more than the lives that they take. Like, it's an absolute cascading effect down through the lives of all the family members, friends, everybody. I wonder if they even think about that shit at all.
I don't think they do. I think they're thinking about what they want. And I think a lot of these people that do these kind of things live in a fantasy-driven life. And I don't think they care about anybody but themselves. Obviously, my daughter was beautiful. It doesn't compute to me how somebody could look at her and hurt her.
Yeah, there's just monsters out there, That's the reality of it. I think it's like that in every case, just like that. Just, who the hell would even think of doing something like that? So you got the, let me go back, I guess. So, don't you think there's a possibility that, see, prior, I'm bringing up Delphi again. Like, way before, I didn't think about there being as many sort of child pornography rings and so forth out there. I never even conceived of the vast numbers. And then you sort of wonder, the situation in your case is so similar to how those people operate. Where they
absolutely on there by some sort of app, kind of like the Delphi girls. They could have had somebody pretending to be a kid, a boy or a girl.
Mm-hmm.
And lured them down there.
Did they
the
have
knee.
phones? Did they have phones at the time?
The phone that was in that purse
Oh,
of
the purse. Yeah,
Elizabeth,
that's right. Yeah.
she could use it at home because she could connect, I think, to the internet and play games on it at home.
A Wi-Fi phone. Yeah.
It wasn't a working phone
Okay. Hmm.
on it and stuff like that.
So maybe when she was at home, somebody could have said something like, "Hey, you want to go to the, you know, the,
And they
see you down at the park or
gave them
something."
we gave them all our computers, the FBI, all our computers. So they did look through our stuff, but some of those with the games where people are talking while they're playing the games,
Mm-hmm.
those can't be tracked. They can't. They wouldn't have been else. So I mean, that's a very good possibility.
I got to tell you, I think it's really lame that you're not as kept in the loop as a parent at all. Like, it sounds like they don't even really. I mean, I don't know if they check in with you once in a while, but it's ridiculous that you aren't really even.
If I call them, they talk to me, but it's after 10 years of calling and getting, the same shit every time.
Mm-hmm.
Or Ray, I'm sorry.
No,
after
okay.
getting the same story, it sucks to make that call when they're just gonna tell you the same shit. I mean, it's never anything substantial, and I know they're trying to protect the case on what information they let out on the case, and I'm sure they don't want to tell me anything that's going to set me off. They don't want me doing anything crazy.
Yeah.
So I think they're just really keeping it really close to the vest. And
don't you have laws in your state where you can get some of the, even though it's active, that you're a family member, where you can get some of the, I don't know, just something? I mean, man, seems like there should be.
I don't think in Iowa.
Are they more, are they still really working on it?
I think so.
Yeah, it doesn't seem like a case you would just give up on. Like this is.
I think the state of Iowa has spent more on this case than any other case in history, from what I understand. They sunk a lot of money into it initially. The 5 months, I'm sure it cost them a lot of money. But I don't know. Like they tell me they're still actively getting tips. So as they're getting tips, they might not be working it every day, but I believe they have certain days that are set aside to work this case and to go through some of those tips that are still coming in. We do a ride every year, a motorcycle ride on the anniversary date, and that generates new leads every year. We're working on a docu-series with HBO right now.
Oh, really? Awesome. That's great.
We've got three episodes done. And it goes into, on the 3 episodes, it goes into a few of the ideas we have. There's a guy, Michael Klunder, who was released in 2011. He had kidnapped 2 little girls and thrown them in a dumpster back in the 90s, and they had released him in 2011. He's about 100 miles away near Des Moines. And
did he kill those girls?
No, he didn't, but he's a very violent person. And his best friend in prison lived down, when I showed you on the map down River Forest.
You want to go back over there?
His best friend lived on River Forest that he was in prison with along the Cedar River there on River Forest Road. And his daughter, or his girlfriend's daughter, rode the bus with my daughter. So, I mean, there are some people that are very, very interesting, like those 2 guys. Plunder happens to be dead because he, a year after my girls went missing, he kidnapped 2 girls in Dayton, Iowa, 100 miles from here. and murdered one. And luckily, one of the girls got away. And instead of facing justice, he committed suicide.
So he's done two different.
Just down the road from us, and rode the same road. Not only rode the same bus as my daughter, but they used to pick the bus up in front of my. They used to catch the bus in front of my house.
So did he come back to your area during that time he was out? This Clunder guy?
I don't know. We don't know that.
But he got out, and when was he released in 2011?
He was released from prison. 11.
Okay, 2011, and when was he arrested?
For the original charge where he did
the second one. The second one where he killed somebody. And
he never did time for that.
Oh, that's
they
right.
Went
yeah,
at him, and he committed suicide.
Okay, yeah. So that's what I meant. When was that?
In 2013.
God, what a coincidence! I mean, this just seems.
The thing about a single abduct, because he kidnapped those two girls himself in Dayton
twice, so.
And he kidnapped those two girls in earlier where he put in the garbage, right? There's only a few. There's not even enough double homicide with one perpetrator. There's not even enough of them to do statistics on it. It's so rare. It's only happened about 18 times.
Well, that guy is really interesting now. I didn't know. I've never heard of him, but that almost sounds like, wow. I mean, you're looking at somebody that lived in the area who has done two other double abductions.
Here, his best friend lived here.
Yeah, and his friend lives there, and his best friend lives there. And what was the part about the? Okay, so he never lived there, but his best friend lived there.
Yeah, his best friend that he was in prison with lived just down the road. And another interesting fact about this guy, Clunder, when he was a teenager, he was in a facility for boys with problems in Waverly, Iowa, which is in Bremer County, which is the same county that Seven Bridges is in. When he ran away from that facility, guess where he ran to?
Your town?
Seven Bridges, where the girls spot.
Oh, wow, really? Jeez. Huh. That is absolutely crazy. Let's see. So he was in prison with the friend that lives in Evansdale. Have you ever asked the friend, like, hey, was he here during that time? Because isn't that normal? Like, you're in prison with somebody, when you come out, you stay with the guy that has a place or something, right?
It's in the documentary.
Okay, come on, break it here, man. No, maybe you ever talk. I know you probably can't.
I basically wear a wire, and I caught him on the street. He didn't know that I had two camera crews positioned, and I was wearing a wire, and I was recording it on my phone. Up in my pocket, I had the camera lens sitting out while I was talking to him.
Wow, you're crazy, man.
and a conversation with him, and it's pretty interesting. Some of the things he said.
Well, I guess we'll have to watch that.
I can't really discuss much what was said.
Right, because you probably signed papers and everything, but
but that's the gist of it. And I got it on. It's recorded well, and
well, maybe off the air you could tell me. I won't share it though. That's crazy, man. You have a lot of guts to do that, though. I mean, I guess it's anything.
Man, I am not scared of these people at all one bit. I'm not a little girl. I'm going to fight back.
Yeah, well, I mean, that's a really...
God come and find me, because he doesn't know what he has waiting for him. Well, if I ever find him.
What does law enforcement think about that guy?
They won't just have open conversations with me about that.
Well, they must be in the documentary somewhere, law enforcement or detectives or somebody, right?
There's a couple of them in there. But
they probably just throw the basic stuff down, like.
But he wasn't on our radar. That guy wasn't on the Michael Clunder wasn't on our radar at all. He was never interviewed. or anything before those two girls in Dayton were taken. He took those girls in Dayton, and then when that happened, it was like, oh my God, this must be somehow connected. But after a few years after that, they came out and they said they have no information that can put Clunder here.
So KL, this is Clunder with a K, right?
Yeah, Michael Clunder.
I just pulled this up on newspapers.com. It said suspect.
If you want to read, it happened in Dayton, Iowa, 2013, and his name is Michael Clunder.
Well, here's the 91 one though. So
but
it says Michael Clunder, 20, was arrested by Houston police at.
You find that?
Yeah, that's what this one. This was 1991. It just popped up on newspapers.com.
This guy's been a sicko. He was sick. What really upsets me about this is this guy was a teenager and he was sick. He was sick all the way back from when he was a teenager. He did all this other shit, and then they let him out. This guy was a monster, and he was a victimizer. And the fact that they let him out of prison makes me so angry. This guy should have never seen the light of day.
So those,
he was somebody.
Those ones were, yeah.
He's somebody that no matter if he's in prison, he'll be good because there's nobody to victimize. He would be, he would be more like the victim in prison. But he looks for weak people to victimize.
So they were actually, what was it? They were only 3-year-olds, the ones that were thrown in the dumpster. So yeah, what year was the other one?
He kidnapped another woman after that and assaulted her. And I mean, the fact that they let this, a kidnapping in Iowa is supposed to be a life sentence. So he kidnapped those 2 girls, and then he kidnapped another woman.
Well, listen to this really quick. Here, listen to this one. Watch this. So the 12-year-old, this is the girl tells harrowing escape. So this is a 2013 article that says the 12-year-old girl who was abducted along with Kathleen Shepard this week told a local newspaper that the girls got in the kidnapper's pickup truck after he asked if they wanted to earn money mowing lawns. I mean, my God, it sounds like a similar type of ruse. The girl also said that Michael Clunder had a gun in the truck and that she took it with her when she escaped. Well, that was pretty smart of her. Man, that's absolutely nuts. I'm going to have to go look this thing up now.
You got to read that story, man. This girl is my hero.
That's incredible.
If you read the story, this girl is so tough. And, she knew that she had to leave. She knew she had to get away.
Yeah, right. It says, Desi said that Clunder zip-tied their hands and took Kathleen to another location on the ground. He had a gun, but he left it. I took it and hid in the woods. I ran through the woods and past a field. I found a cemetery, and then I ran some more, Desiree said. I kept
shoes.
Huh?
And shorts on. No shoes and shorts on.
Wow. I kept thinking that I didn't want to not see my friends anymore. I just kept running. I saw some people, so I ran and asked them if I could use their phone. Desiree called her mother, who said she couldn't believe what she was hearing. I wasn't sure that I heard her right. Then she put a man on the phone. I'm not sure I believed it until I got there and saw the ambulance. That's when it hit me, the mother said. Yeah, definitely I'm going to have to go look at this story. That's absolutely crazy. So he did 2 3-year-olds he threw in a dumpster, and they lived. And then he went to prison for 20-something years, it sounds like, from that.
And I believe when he threw those girls in the dumpster, it was like the middle of winter. I'm not sure. You'd have to look on the date. But, this guy is an obvious monster. The fact that the state of Iowa let this scumbag
Isn't that sick?
out to do this to those 2 girls, and maybe he didn't do it to my girls, but he did it to those 2 girls. And for what? Why would you give somebody like that another chance? He's been sick since he was a little boy.
Well, or that's just how he is, I wouldn't say he wasn't treatable. Yeah.
If you're so sick that you would toss 2 3-year-olds in a dumpster, You shouldn't be in society.
No, I agree.
Simple as that. I
So,
don't want to live with them. I don't want to live with in society with somebody like that.
but don't you get it, Drew? There's treatment out there for people like that.
I,
You just give them a few drugs and they're back to normal.
this is the treatment right here.
Yeah, I think we're on the same page. We're on the same page. Let's see. So here's a whole nother big article in 2014 on that case. So definitely I'm gonna go. I might do a whole show on this.
Actually become friends with Desi. I talked to Desi quite a bit.
Oh, nice.
And like I said, she is my hero because she's the one that got away. She is tough as nails. And I'm happy. I wish all of them would get away, but I'm so happy she did.
I wonder if that person you talked to with the wire knew anything about a white sort of SUV. Guess you can't answer that one either. Yeah, sorry.
I just don't want to say anything that is going to get the people that worked on that mad at me because they put a ton of work into that.
Yeah,
And,
I get it.
They want me to shut up and not say anything, so I'm trying my best.
How many episodes are there going to be?
Right now, there's three 1-hour episodes. A little over. One's a little over. The other two are right at.
And is that all they're going to be, or they're making more?
Really, we hardly touched. We hardly touched the case. I mean, we went into the basic facts. The first, 5-6 months, and then some of this stuff with Clunder and a few other people. There's so many more things that have to be really told that I'm hoping that there's more. But it just depends on the people.
Well, you're welcome to say those things here if you can. I mean, at some point, unless you're putting it in the documentary. But
well, yeah, I mean, like I said, I just don't want to do anything to have those guys upset with me.
Yeah, that makes sense. Let's see. So what we're going to probably do is do a whole nother. We're going to create a post in the community section where people can ask questions, and then maybe we could do another show where you come on and try to answer as many as you can, keeping in mind your HBO show. Right? So don't ask any questions about what he just said a minute ago.
I can answer a lot of things, but I mean, when it comes down to the specifics of what's in that, and some of the things they don't want me to blow it.
Right.
And like I said, there's still so much to be told. I definitely don't want to make them mad. There's more of the story that needs to be told.
Yeah. Let's see. So you have any other thoughts you want to put in there? I mean, it's hard to, everything's just kind of speculation. You probably have a lot more information that you feel pretty solid about. That name you just put out there, given his past, seems like a really pretty amazing possibility.
And the craziest thing about that is they said he couldn't. They basically said he couldn't have been here. They tracked his phone from that day, and they basically said there's no way he could have been here. But he's the perfect suspect. But I mean,
they tracked his phone. Okay.
There's more people than him.
Is he part of?
Interesting to me.
So how many more? Sorry, but say that again because you kind of cut out.
I'm sorry. He's not even in knowing that the police can't put him here. His phone wasn't. His phone was pinging there down in Dayton, which is 100 miles away, and them telling me, "Hey, he didn't have nothing to do with it." I mean, it's very interesting. It sounds perfect, but they're saying it ain't him. You get excited that we got this bastard. It's got to be him. It's got to be him. And then they come back after thoroughly investigating this guy and say it couldn't have been him.
But either way, he's a similar type, probably. Yeah,
I'm glad he's dead though.
Yeah, that's probably good. Let's see.
That's a bit bad for saying that. I wish I could have done it myself.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah,
this guy's an animal. What he did to Kathleen Shepard, and then threw her in the river. I mean, what he did to her family, what he did to Desi.
no, it sounds like a monster. There's probably more out there that people don't know about. They weren't caught. There's probably missing people that he's associated with. They just didn't really think about it. They haven't linked him to it.
Locked up for a very long time. The amount of time he was out, he's been locked up more of his life than he's been out. So he's got a very small windows of these chances he's had to hurt people, and every chance he's had to hurt somebody, he's done it. But he only goes after weaker people. He would never confront a man. His victims are a 3-year-old girl, a frail woman, and 2 12-year-old kids. Those are his victims. That's the kind of people they pick weak victims because they're weak people.
So he has another victim, an elderly woman.
Well, no, I said a frail, a younger woman.
Oh, okay.
He picked up and I think raped and then kidnapped. Or it's probably in all that stuff. Mm-hmm. I don't know the specifics on it, but there was another victim, a female, from back in the early 90s.
I think I'll have to do a show where I'm going to go try to find all the articles on it, see what happens. There's tons and tons of stuff in the paper.
I could hook you up with Desi.
What's that? Oh, yeah.
I said I could possibly hook you up with Desi. I don't know if she, I don't know where she's sitting as far as, she lost her best friend that day.
Yeah.
And quite traumatized.
If she feels comfortable, that'd be an interesting interview to have her try to. I wouldn't want her to have to sort of relive it unless she feels comfortable doing it.
She's the documentary too.
Okay, well, if she feels like she wants to do it, then I think that'd be really interesting. Regardless, yeah. I mean, just her story sounds interesting.
Yeah.
So.
And she's great. Like, I don't know. I just really admire her strength and her poise to realize, okay, I can't just sit here and wait to die. I have to do something. I have to fight. I'm gonna get out of here. I'm gonna live. And she ran through those woods with no shoes on, with shorts on. And when she got to that farm, she was bloody as hell. I mean, ripped from sticks and thorns, and she had a madman chasing her.
Mm-hmm. Wow. I'm definitely going to look that story up. So what? When is the documentary coming out?
I'm going to say 2024. Right now, HBO's just bought out Discovery ID, I believe. And they're making like a super channel or something. And they're just going through that process. And then I think this will be on one of the earlier episodes that is going to be on that new channel. I don't really know yet.
Okay.
I've seen the first 3, though.
Yeah, well, you and I have talked, I think, for years now. Like, I don't know, on and off emails and stuff. I think you were on a podcast that we did it was actually like a side for the Delphi case. We put it in there. I think it was for Scene of the Crime and how people thought that maybe they're related somehow. And, doesn't seem like they are, but I mean, maybe there's a loose connection with some sort of a ring out there. Don't really know, but.
Think of the one kid, is it Klein?
Mm-hmm.
That was in Iowa. And in 2012, I want to say.
Really? Well, I have to. Where are you getting that information from?
It's just something I've heard.
Okay, so we don't really know on that one.
But I heard that he was in this area, like not in the Waterloo, Evansdale area, but in Iowa. Mm-hmm. On the, I want to say, by South Dakota, on the South Dakota side.
Okay. Well, I don't know where people are getting that information, but
Well, maybe somebody that's watching this that knows that side of it would be able to give us that information too.
I'd have to have like proof of something like that.
Sure.
You know. Well, any last things?
I can't think of nothing.
Yeah. Well, listen, I'm really sorry you've had to go through all this. I can see what what a nightmare it's been, and all the other, sort of side problems that has happened, that is created in your life too. So, but it looks like you're, still working hard to get justice. And I think your documentary idea is a great one, because once that comes out on HBO, I'm sure the tip line will even, blast way wide open on that one. Because that'll be a huge...
That's what we're just looking for, that one thing, because I'm sure there's pieces that the police have, but there's obviously not that one piece that we need. We just need someone to be courageous enough to bring us that piece.
Yeah, somebody needs to come forward. Somebody knows, other than the killer, what happened.
Absolutely.
So
no one, if someone saw that was, and maybe a friend of this person saw something that just doesn't sit right with them, and it's never sat right with them, but they just didn't want to come forward because it's their friend, and I just can't believe that they would do that. But they just haven't had the courage to come forward.
Yeah, well, if you're out there and you're listening and you see this, say something, for God's sakes. What if it was your sibling or your daughter? You'd want somebody to say something, so just do it. All right? So how about we'll get questions together, and we'll do this again like in a week or something. Get all, and I'll send you the questions, and you can, say, you can even mark next to it, I can't answer that one. Oh, I can do that one. Like that, okay?
All right.
Does that sound good?
That sounds great.
Well, I appreciate you coming on, Drew. And again, we all feel really bad for you, and I hope we get some answers soon, maybe right after that documentary comes out.
Yeah.
Hopefully it's out soon.
It's going to happen sooner or later. I just, I want whoever did this to be locked up so they can't do it to another family. They can't touch another child. And that's my focus right now, is just bringing this person to justice.
It sounds like a good plan. Let's do it. All right. So we'll talk to you. We'll talk to you soon. I'll give you a call maybe tomorrow. See how everything went. Okay.
Perfect.
All right, man. Have a good one. See you later.
Thanks.
All right, bye-bye.
Record.
Oh, there it goes. Yeah. Well, I thought it was pretty interesting there. And that's the whole day up at the top there, on the stream goal there. It's for the other show and this one. So if you guys, if you thought that was an interesting show, if you want to help support the channel, we do a lot of great things. Help support me keep doing what I'm doing. And also, I think we're at 95 for this show right here. So if you'd like to help support the channel, that'd be awesome. That story has been one that's always been around. I don't think I had heard of it, though, until Delphi. I mean, Delphi has been sort of a older sister, sort of in a way, to the Evansdale case. It's helped give it more life, unfortunately. Like, if the Evansdale case happened today, it would be huge, right? It would be a massive case. But it happened in 2012, before true crime really kind of picked up, and it didn't get the attention that it deserved. So, anyways. Yeah, maybe I'll come back on and go talk about the Clunger one, okay? So, I'm going to end this stream, and maybe I'll come back on at, like, I don't know, 7:30 or something, and we can go over that one. Okay, because we got to figure out a way to get to the goal. We absolutely didn't even come close. And that's what always happens whenever you have a guest on, or do like a live press conference or something like that. The I don't know what it is, but the support for the channel just goes right? And I'm not sure why that happens. So anyways, thanks for the people who did support it. Thank you to Shelly Pink, Sandy Shirley, LM, the Velvet Army, Danielle, Tina Susser, Jean, Darcy. See how few people that is? All right, you guys, thank you very much. We'll see you a little bit later. And until next time, be safe out there.